So welcome back, guys. So I welcome you to another interesting part of our type tools in Adobe Photoshop CC. Now, in this segment, I'm going to show you some other technique or in text tools in Adobe Photoshop. So in this regard, I don't need paragraph panel again. So I'm going to close it. Now, I have to come to this text tools text layer. So I'll come here and hide the layer. Now, why am I doing all this is that because I'm going to provide the project file for all the students at the end of the class. So now, in this regard, I'm going to go back to my text tools again. Then I'll come to the Photoshop workspace. I'm trying to make some type. So now, before I will do that, I'll come to my home tab here. I will increase the font type, font size. Okay, so now I'm going to type Excel. Then I'll press enter key to return. Then I'll type graphic, enter key to return. I will type and then enter key to return. I will type multimedia. All right. So now I'm trying to format this text. So we can see that this is right side alignment. So I'm going to press Ctrl A now. So having pressed Ctrl A, so now I'll make use of my alignment, text alignment from the from my home tab here. I'm going to align this text to left alignment. So you can see when I select left alignment, it changed everything to the left alignment. So now, let's say for instance, this particular text here, we are trying to create some gap between the text. Let's say we are trying to add some bulleting text in our Adobe Photoshop. So how do we do that? So now, when you are done with your type like this, it might be more than 4 sentences. So let's say you have more than 4 sentences in your text, so you are still going to make use of the same procedure, right? So now we have to come to the character panel, and you know how you bring up your character panel by press Ctrl T on your keyboard. Your character panel is going to pump up, or better still, you can come to the type tool from the home tab here. So you select type tools, you look for panels, and choose your character panel. So you can see it's very much active because I have it right here. That is why it's very much active. So I don't need to check on that again. So let me go back to my text, Ctrl A to select everything. So now to make use of interval gap, to apply some gap interval between this text right here. So what I'm going to do is to make use of my character panel. So now you can see here we have auto. This auto simply means that the number here, the gap here is automatic, which is a default by Photoshop. So let's say for instance you select 30. So you see what happened now. Now you can see that the text moved from the bottom to the top. Now let's say for instance we try to create more gap instead of moving the text from bottom to the top. So let me zoom the camera. So you have to come to this place here. You see where the arrow point. So you move forward if you want it to create more gap. So you can see the more I'm expanding the arrow to the forward, the more the gap is being created. So okay, let's say I'm satisfied with the 50 size. So we can as well come here and change the color to something like this, and then click on OK. Now with this, we can come to the home tab tools bar here and select our pick tools. Now we can drag the text here and try to create some bulletin points for all this. Now let's say for instance we don't want this text to have this type of paragraph interval space. So we have to come back to our text tools again and select the text. We press Ctrl A to highlight. Then we fall back to our character panel. We select from this point here and choose Auto. Now everything go back to normal space. So this is how you walk around with your character panel. Now, other thing you can do with your character panel is that you can change font from this point here. So we can decide to change the fonts to another font name. We can choose this font right here. You can see. Or better still, we can go back to our font here and try to look for another font. Let me scroll down. Okay, let me choose this font here, Railway. Now you can see it will update on the text. So one other thing we can do is that we can play with font family. What do I mean by font family is that when I select a new font now, which is Railway, then you can come here. So these are the property of this particular font here. So you can play around with it. Let's say from regular, we can move to bold. Look at it. Now, one other thing we can do is that we can decide to select the first letter, Excel, Shift key and downward arrow key. We can come back here and change the font to black. Then we can come to the multimedia, Shift key and select that portion. So we can change this to light. So we can see the difference. So then we can select graphic now, Shift key and select this particular point here. And we come back here and we can choose this one to be medium. So we can see. So this is how you play around with font family and you still maintain the same type of font. Now, let's say for instance, we want to capitalize the whole text instead of having the first letter to be capital. So you can press Ctrl A on your keyboard, then you come down here and that is when you make use of this all caps. So it will automatically change everything to capital letter. So you can see it right here on your screen. Then you can change to italics. So it will change everything to italics. So you can see the movement now from normal to italics. So Ctrl A again. So you can decide to strike all the text by making use of strike through. This simply means that you are trying to put a line around all the text. So you press Ctrl A to highlight. So if you don't want all these formats, just uncheck them. Then uncheck this also. Then uncheck this also. So every other thing will become a normal stuff. So you can see. So if you don't want to play around, you want to change call the font family style. So you can select shift key and downward arrow key, and you come here. You can change this one to medium, and then click on big tools to accept. So let me just hide this layer also. Let's say for instance we are trying to design some corporate store, so you can select text tools now and type corporate identity, something like this. Now we select everything to highlight. You can come here and change the whole thing to bold. Now we can select the identity alone, shift key and drop down arrow key. So we can come back here and choose light. So we can come to the color and change the color to dark red or black. Then click on OK. So this is another way by which you can play around with fonts and the font family in Adobe Photoshop. So I hope you learn one or two things in our type tools in Photoshop. So if you have any question, you can forward your question to me and let me see how far you are able to understand the type tools in our Adobe Photoshop beginner class to advanced. And I hope to see you guys in the next episode of our Photoshop beginner guide to advanced. So thank you for watching and I hope to see you soon.